Taco Tuesday. We are here today. I have a slightly different setup. I'm actually standing today. And I'm trying to make sure that everything looks and sounds okay to you. So I would love it if you would tell me in the comments where you're watching from and tell me that you can hear me because I'm standing a little bit further away from the microphone, but I have to be right here in the camera. I'm using a different boom arm, so I'm like, okay, little technical things that I want to make sure. Hi, Monique. So happy that you're here. This is going to be a lot of fun today because I'm just like a goals motivation junkie, I guess if you want to call me that, but I love setting new goals, doing resolutions, doing a vision board. Y'all, I did my first vision board. I can't ever get pointing right on a camera. Maybe one day. This is my little vision board that I did on Canva. I typically will do like a magazine or something like that, but I this year decided I didn't have time and I don't have any magazines in the house. And I was like, I'm not gonna go buy a bunch of magazines just to cut them up and all that. It just felt really wasteful. So I put up my vision board over here. That is, y'all, look at this. I have I don't know what I did. I scratched my lip and now it's bleeding. So that's awesome. Here, why don't I just sit here? Thankfully, I have some tissues right here. Let me just sit here with this tissue on my face while I talk to you for the next hour. Ugh, that's so ridiculous. Ugh. Okay. You'll have to let me know if it gets worse. I don't even know what is happening, but it's been driving me crazy for the last week. So, it's there. Let's just acknowledge that it's there. You're gonna be doing live streams and you're gonna have zits on your face and you're gonna have like a booger on your face at some point in time. Like it happens to the best of us. So I'm just gonna call it out and what it is, and we're just gonna move on because it's the only way to get over it. But anyway, vision board over there. You can see it in the corner. That's something really fun that I could show you another time, another place. But today, I really just want to talk about goals. That's one of the big things that we're talking about. Yeah. And Teresa's like, oh my gosh, Crystal, did you really just talk about boogers on your face? Yeah, I do. And thankfully, I don't have one today. I think we're looking good. But I hope that y'all would, be there for me, have my back if you're like, Crystal, you have something disgusting on your face. That's all you have to say. You don't even have to call it out. Just tell. I live in a house with 3 boys. I promise you, that's the least of my concerns. The least of my concerns if there's a booger on my face. I was listening to you in May K. Oh, I love May K. Y'all go listen to today's podcast episode. That's something else that we're going to talk about. When I just got this live notification. Okay, so May K. She is incredible. If you have not listened to today's episode, or if you're like, what is Monique talking about? Let's go up here. So this is my podcast, the Profit Podcast. Go check it out if you are not a current listener. But let me see. I have it on here. Let me grab it. Today's podcast episode is all about how to be intentional with your podcast content. And it is myself and my really good friend, May K. Sang, who... this is her 4th time on the podcast. We are breaking records already. It's January 11th, 2022, and we're already breaking records. So I am just I love this girl so much. She brings so much information to the table when it comes to not just creating content, but creating stuff that will make a bigger impact with your audience in a really intentional way. So please go listen to today's podcast episode and go listen. If podcast guesting and getting more visible is something that is one of your goals this year, we're going to talk about goals in just a second. But if that's something you really want to do, then you have to go back and listen to her previous episodes. So I linked to them all in the show notes so you can see on the screen. If you go to crystalprofit.com/episode 322, I can't believe we're already at 322 episodes. Blows my mind. But she was on episode, I think it was 97, and then another one in the 100s and another one in the 200s. So every few hundred episodes, she sneaks one in there. And I'm just so grateful that she's sharing all her information. And I know she has an upcoming workshop that we were chatting about for a little bit on the show today too. So go listen to it. You will love May Kay. She's basically the polar opposite of me in that like I'm loud and like all over the place, and she's very quiet and reserved, and we're just so different. And I think that that's what makes us the peanut butter and jam of podcast. I always want to say jelly because I guess that's the American thing. She's from the UK, and she's like, I'll just call myself the jam. I'm like, okay, well, whatever you want to call yourself, that works for me too. Let me finish saying hi to everybody in New Jersey. I hear you just fine. Thank you, Teresa. Hearing you loud and clear in the middle of Tennessee. Awesome, awesome. Tanya D is in the house. Good morning, sunshine. I hope that everybody that's in the Tennessee area, I just thought about this, all the snow that y'all have gotten, no, it's too much. It's too much. I can't handle it. Y'all, this is gonna just drive me crazy for the rest of this time. But you know what? Just ignore me. Just ignore me, okay? I mean, I know we're not here to watch what I'm talking about. It's not like I'm, in front of tons of people right now. It's just me talking into my camera in my office, and I'm just a hot mess. And I haven't even told y'all, what is happening? It's Taco Tuesday. I didn't even start it this way. It's because we put a lot of emphasis on today's broadcast, right? I was like, okay, it's a special announcement, it's a special live, but we got it like, hello, it's Taco Tuesday, and that's really all that matters because, I mean, it's just, hello, Rita's here. I mean, she is ready to party today as well. So, I mean, what is even happening? We'll eventually get back on track, but it's just, yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. Good morning, Jacqueline. So happy to be here. Most happy to be here with everyone. Great. Yeah. Can't hear you as well as before. Can y'all hear me now? This is what I was worried about. So what I might do, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to adjust y'all. I just didn't want it to be like too much. You can see there's the outside. There's the front of my house right there. That's actually easier for me to read the comments and to look at everything. So, and I'm closer to the mic. So let me know if that is better. It was so fun, originally from Florida, so I appreciate it. It's really funny because my kids have grown up in Texas, and they will say to me, well, it was my 6-year-old this Christmas. Why didn't it snow on Christmas? And I'm like, babe, because we live in Houston, Texas. It was 85 degrees on Christmas. And he was like, yeah, but Santa's supposed to bring the snow. And I'm like, baby, you have such a little sweetheart. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Hey there, Stacia. So happy that you're here. Oh my gosh, y'all. This is going to be so fun. We are going to get right down to it. And if y'all have any questions, I see there's a lot of familiar faces here, but if you've never been to one of my lives before, put your questions in the comments like this. Type a Q in front of any questions that you may have, like while we're chatting here or at any time. That way I can go in and I can see them easier, and I can make sure that your question gets answered. So anytime you have a question, don't hesitate. I'm in the middle of chatting, obviously, whatever. I'm just this is a total disaster. It's a total mess. And now I feel like, because my body knows that there's a tissue, I'm starting to feel like sniffly. And I'm just like, oh, the wheels have fallen off completely. But it's fine. It's fine. You came here for a good show. I'm going to give it to you. I promise. Yeah. Mic sound is much clearer when you're closer to the mic. Yeah, I know. So that's like, for anybody that wants to live stream or do camera and audio, just know that testing is always in the mix. I mean, I'm lucky today because it's sunny outside, because I'm getting some light in here, but sometimes I will have to blast this ring light like right in front of my face, and I will get a headache from doing it, and I'll have to like adjust, like, okay, I actually need to move my camera. My camera's on a tripod right now. It's typically, I don't even know where this, oh, here it is. It's typically on this that I hook to my standing desk. And it frustrates me. It's one of the things that I need to buy. I want to buy like a mount for my camera that goes like on my desk, but it's just like a whole setup thing. It's a whole setup issue, and it's just like, oh, yeah, it drives me nuts. I need to talk to Melanie. She's my go-to live stream expert. I need to talk to her about it. I have lag issues when I go live in my group. Do you know what I can do about that? Monique, I would tag Melanie. But speaking of Melanie, because I don't really know what kind of connectivity issues, because I don't typically have really bad issues with this. Not that anyone has told me. I don't always go back and rewatch all of my lives, but it could have something to do with what software you're using. Like, are you going directly live using Facebook's like live feature on your phone, on your desktop? Are you using a service like StreamYard? I'm using StreamYard to go live, and there's typically a slight delay, but it shouldn't be really, really delayed, right? It shouldn't be like 30 seconds. It should be like maybe 5 seconds at most. But yeah, okay. It's actually seeing you a lag right now. It could be me, not you. Uh-oh. Guys, I'm hardwired into my computer. Into my internet. The tech gremlins are just here today. Apparently all the gremlins are out to get me because like my face is bleeding. Like we're just like I'm having issues. But it says my internet is good. So let me know if y'all are seeing a lot of lag or any other issues. Don't panic. It's all good now. Okay, I'm like help. I just need help today. I need Rita. Come on, Rita. I need you to send me some of this energy and like we gotta do something today. Yeah. Directly in from my PC, I'll start using StreamYard. Yeah, there's a free trial of StreamYard. If you want to check them out, you can go to crystalprofit.com/StreamYard. I'm an affiliate with them. I've partnered with them. And I believe, I don't remember if that gets you $10 off if you want to try it. Because you can try it for free, I think for like 2 weeks. But yeah, if you decide to sign up with them, I think it gives you a discount on your first month. I love StreamYard. I've been using it since January 2020. Jeez, is that really how long? I don't know. It's been a while. Like I've been using it for a long time. I actually signed up months back. I just need to use it. Yeah. You need to use it, Monique. You need to try it because I promise you it's infinitely easier than trying to do it through Facebook. I don't know why, but once you get it all initially set up, you get in there, go follow Melanie because she will have all of the really awesome things that you can do. Don't get fancy. There's a lot of technical things. She gets really fancy. I don't get as fancy as she does, but there's a lot of things you can do to set everything up on the back end before you ever go live. And then it just makes things a lot easier once you're in there. So yeah, highly recommend StreamYard. Okay. No issues. Okay. All right. Whew, y'all. Well, it's okay. Like it's just one of those days. We'll just call it that and that's fine. But we are here today. Okay. I want to go into some of the things that we're talking about today because I do have a really fun announcement, but I'm not going to tell you that now. Okay. I just got to tease it for a little bit more. I want to talk first about your podcast goals. Now, before we can really set everything into like, whoa, this is what I'm going to accomplish this year. These are the number of downloads I want to get or the number of listeners I want to have or, whatever your goal is going to be. I want to first ask you, what was your favorite thing about podcasting in 2021? So tell me in the comments, what was your favorite thing? And if you haven't launched your own podcast right now, I still want you to tell me, like, did you listen to a bunch of new podcasts that you fell in love with? Did you get a bunch of ideas? Did you see something that had never been done before and it got you really excited? Like, what was the thing that you loved about podcasting in 2021? So tell me in the comments. I put my water on the floor, so I did not spill it. So hang on. I'm like, I'm not running away, I swear. So tell me in the comments, what was your favorite thing about podcasting in 2021? I can't wait to hear what y'all have to say. So I'm going to share mine. First. My favorite thing about podcasting, I loved, and you may not even remember this because it happened pretty early in the year. I mean, it was spring, but in April 2021, is when everything really got shook up with Apple, and they were like, oh, they brought out subscriptions and this way to monetize and all that. I didn't love that Apple did that simply because I don't have a monetized podcast through Apple. I don't do subscriptions. But what that did is it told everyone that was already in the podcast industry that people are paying attention. That big players like Apple and Spotify and all the other ones, they're paying attention to how much we love podcasts. We love to listen to podcasts. We love to consume them. And obviously, there's more than 2 million podcasts now. We love creating the content. So that's one of the things that I loved about it. But also, if we go even further back, I believe it was January 2021 when Buzzsprout released their dynamic content. Y'all, I can't even tell you. Like, I used it earlier today. This is going to sound so ridiculous. I think I've used it a minimum of 20 times. Minimum. I've probably used it more than that. But what dynamic content is, if you're not a Buzzsprout user, maybe your hosting service has this. But what it is simply a way for you to give announcements to your audience in real time. And that gets applied to every single podcast episode you've ever published. Or you could omit it from specific ones that you don't want to have on there. But like I have my big announcement. I actually added it earlier, like right before we came on here. So I was like, oh, Monique may have heard what the announcement was. But it's just something that allows you to add events if you're doing a special launch or a promotion, or you want to have a meetup in your area and you're like, hey, those of you that listen to the podcast, if you're in the Houston, Texas area, we're going to meet up at this time, at this place. We hope to see you there. Or if you're going to have a virtual event or whatever it is that you're doing, even if you just want to get more Instagram followers, y'all, you could do a specific dynamic piece of content that you put before every single episode, and then you can change it out from time to time. You could say, hey, if you enjoy what you're hearing on the podcast, I would love for you to come follow me on Instagram. My handle is @CrystalProfitTX. That's Crystal with a K, Profit with 2 F's and 2 T's, TX like Texas. Come follow me on Instagram for some more stories and some really silly reels. I don't know, just something like that. If you want to hear more, I have tons of stuff on dynamic content. I'm not even kidding, y'all. Now my nose is running. Oh, hang on. Okay, I promise you, I will eventually get my life together. I don't know when. I'm not making any promises when that's going to happen, but runny nose and all, like we'll eventually get it. Okay, so I want to see what some of y'all's were. So making friends that I would have never gotten to know otherwise. So I don't know who this is, Facebook user. If you want to, you can click in where you're watching this. There's a little thing that says allow StreamYard permission to use your name, and then we can see who this is. But it's okay if you don't want to share your information. But making friends that I would have never gotten to know otherwise. This is really big. This is really big. I have met people, it's going to sound so dramatic, but it's true, that have changed my life in the podcasting industry. And I've been in this space for roughly 4 years now. That's like, thinking about from the time I thought about starting a podcast to actually creating one, that was in 2018, like early 2018, whenever I was like, oh, well, maybe I could do that, but I didn't do anything about it. Then I said, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. And then it took me about 2 months to figure out what I was doing and get it all together. And then I launched my very first podcast in 2018. And then I started coaching people late in that year. And then in 2019 is when I went full on into podcast coaching with, everything, switching to the Profit Podcast and doing all those things. I would not have met so many people along the way, from conferences, podcast interviews, from live events that I've gone to, from live streams. Like, I am just blown away by the amazing people that I have met on my podcast journey. So totally agree with you on that one. My favorite thing about podcasting in 2021 was launching, followed by a close second, your 5-day challenge. That's so awesome, Teresa. I love that You got your podcast out into the world. And I love that you attended our 5-day challenge. I don't remember if that's where you first came into our space, but we're so happy that you're here. Teresa's part of our Facebook group. So if you have not been in our Facebook group, let me put it up here. So if you want to join us in our Facebook group, we just hit 1,000 podcasters, which is so fun. There's people in there that are either thinking about starting a podcast, they're launching, or they're growing and marketing their show. So go to crystalprofit.com/podcast community, and it'll take you directly to our Facebook group where you can join us. But yeah, it's a really fun community in there. There's always people asking questions. And yeah, if you need a place to ask your podcast questions and you want to, hang out with us like this, come hang out in there. Preparing the content and creating a community on Facebook for people who are dating, engaged, or married. This is so awesome, Monique. Thank you for sharing this. I know that Monique's podcast is Demo with Mo. So shout out, Monique. I love that you have such a specific audience that it's really easy to talk about what it is, relationships and doing things like that. And you have a pretty broad but specific audience to where hopefully you have seen some growth in the last year in putting your content out there. So that's a lot of fun. So Elise says, podcasting helps me learn new things because I always read a lot for each episode. The more I read, the more I learn. This is what I like about podcasting. My podcasting is about films and books. That's really, really cool. I hadn't thought about that, but you are absolutely right in that research, right? You have this research, whether it's learning about the person you're going to interview or, in your case, the films and the books. I also learn a lot. I will selfishly, here's my little secret for a podcast guest. I will selfishly ask people to come onto the show because I want to learn from them. So it's this exchange of, hey, I will put you in front of my audience and give you some promotion. Hopefully people will come check you out, learn about what you have to do. And in exchange, I'm I literally have the mic and can ask them all the questions about their business, about their strategies, or whatever else is going on. Maybe they have their own podcast that I want to know about. So that is a really, really good one. So it helps you learn new things. That's awesome. So Jackie says, I just switched over to Buzzsprout through your link because your passion for it. They're awesome over there. They are really awesome. And if you want to keep up with what's going on, I don't know. I always tell people, I'm like, maybe I'm just really nerdy and I love this podcast, but the Buzzsprout, it's one of the co-founders, Kevin, their head of marketing and their head of content, Travis and Albin. They have a podcast called Buzzcast. And they are so funny. They often get ridiculous on this thing, but they always talk about what they're trying to do for Buzzsprout creators. And I think that it's just so awesome. If you haven't gone to their YouTube channel, oh my gosh, you have questions about podcasting, they always have incredible stuff. Okay, so Jackie says, I gave permission. Hopefully I show up soon. Yes, you are here, Jackie. We can see your name and your smiling face. Happy that you're over in our Facebook group. Melanie's in the house. Mel, we've already been talking about you. I feel like every time I go live, it's like a Pavlovian dog thing. I'm like, I have to talk about Melanie at some point in this live because I know someone's going to ask me something. So, yeah, and it's usually, let me see, someone from our Facebook group. Where was it? It was Monique, wasn't it? Monique was asking about lag time. Mel, if you have any insight. She has lag issues when she goes live, but then I told her she just needs to start using StreamYard. So she said she's going to try out StreamYard and see if that helps. Okay, let me hide. We don't need to see that anymore. Okay, so we talked about what was your favorite thing in podcasting. Now I want to talk about what are your podcast goals for 2022. This doesn't have to be the exact goal, you like a specific download number, or it doesn't because if you say, I want to hit 1 million downloads and you're just starting, I'm going to tell you that's a lofty goal. I've been podcasting for 4 years. I don't have 1,000,000 downloads. Okay. I'm just telling you right now. Okay. I'm not, yeah, that's a good goal. I'm not telling you, I'm not here to crush your dreams. I'm here to shine a light on a realistic expectation of what you can accomplish in a year. So one of the goals for me that I have set for 2022 is I want to be a guest on more podcasts. And the way that I have set this up, right? Because goal without action is just it's aspirational. It's not really intentional. It's not actionable. And so what I have done is I have a list, I have a spreadsheet of all of the podcasts that I plan to pitch this year. And I've given myself lots of grace. I haven't even started, but I'm already giving myself lots of grace. And the reason why is because I am someone, I'm like, how do I say this right? I overwhelm myself very easily. I am ambitious. I tend to take on way too much. And I've learned this about myself. And I just need to be more self-aware of whenever I'm saying like, oh, I can do this. I can make it happen. In reality, I really don't have time to do all the things that I really want to do in a specific amount of time. So if you've never heard me talk about goals, one of the things that I do is I only look at 1/4 of the year at a time. So right now I'm only focused on January, February, and March. What am I going to accomplish in the next 3 months? That's all I look at. And then I ask, okay, well, what is going to be my main goal in January? What's going to be my main goal in February? What's going to be my main goal in March? And I got to tell you, March, one of my main goals is to celebrate the fact that it's spring break with the kids. It's just January. We were already talking about it last night. We were talking about like, what do we want to do for spring break this year? This is my planning. Like I love to plan. I love to know ahead of time. I know it's just my nature. It's who I am. I cannot help it. But yeah, I want to hear some of y'all's goals for 2022. I'm cooking and listening. I'm here. Mel's here. She makes some really good shrimp tacos that she always talks about, but she lives in Indiana and she can't share. She's also the one that created this for me. She created this. And this one. I don't know what that was, and then this one. Thank you, Mel. Thank you. She created these beautiful, beautiful graphics for me that I'm so grateful for. So, goal, be more consistent with my podcast. This is something that you've told me many times that you want to do, but this is a really good example of picking a priority piece of content because Mel does live streams. She has focused on her YouTube channel and growing it in the last year. I would say, I don't want to talk for you, Mel, but I feel like last year you had said, I'm going to focus very intentionally on my YouTube channel. So that is her priority piece of content. Like, no matter what, she's showing up for her live stream because that's the commitment that she made. Now, if your goal is to really focus on your podcast, then everything else kind of falls to the wayside, kind of gets secondary, like Mel's talking about here. She's like, I want to be more consistent with my podcast, but I got to give her some kudos because I don't think she ever misses a live, ever. She will reschedule. Like if it's like something comes up, she's like, crap, I can't do it, but I'm going to make it up. Like I'm going to do it like in the afternoon instead of in the morning when I originally planned to do it, but I'm going live. I'm going to make it happen. So she's an example of consistency. Even if you're like, I'm not as consistent with my podcast, Mel, you're very, very consistent with everything that you do. Goal number 2, try not to hate show notes as much. Hire a VA. There you go. That's the best way to not hate show notes as much is don't do them. Have someone else do them for you. We have a Voxer chat with me and Mel and our good friend Heather Sager, and we talk all the time. And one of the things that Melanie's told me so many times, she's like, I hate show notes. I don't want to do them. What can I do to get around them? And she's not alone. She is not alone in feeling that way. I don't love show notes. I don't love them at all. But they do provide a lot of SEO. They provide a lot of just other ways for people to find my content organically. So that is like the main reason why I grit my teeth and make them happen anyway. So yes to show notes, Hire a VA, get them to do it and do all the things for you. I'm achieving my podcast goal right now. One goal was to make goals for my podcast, and boom, you're here to help. You know what? I aim to please, Stacia. I'm so happy that you're here and we can help you with your podcast goals. You will have it done by the end of this life. Hopefully, you've gotten some inspiration from everybody here sharing theirs. Hello, Anthony. Happy that you're here and Happy New Year. This is awesome. I joined Buzzsprout wondering the website they provided on about the show. Would that be a good place to install my email address for listeners? You can put it on there. So Jacqueline, there are several YouTube videos on my channel as well as on Buzzsprout's channel that will show you how to set up your podcast website. If you do want to set everything up on Buzzsprout, there is an option if you go to, actually, I can just show you. Let me show ya, because it'll be a lot easier than trying to tell you where it is. So if you go, let me find the best view. Here we go. So I'm in, let me turn this off. So I'm in the back end of my Buzzsprout website, right? So if you go into where it says website, and then this is what it looks like on the front end, you come down here, always forget, hang on. Okay, social media links. If you wanted to add all of your information here for people to contact you, you can do that. And then this is what it will look like up here. I'm pretty sure that there is a place. I thought there was a place to add your email address, but I don't know. Maybe, see, because it has this up here. Okay, that's your website. So this here, you could redirect. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out. There's Instagram, Facebook, because it has this link right here for your website URL. This is actually what is at the top of the page. So let me just go here and show you. So you go here. This is what my Buzzsprout website looks like for the Profit Podcast. But over here, I have the option like to direct you to my actual website instead of just being here. But I don't know. I don't remember where this link is. That might be under podcast settings. But I would imagine you'd be able to put your email up here. But if you really want people to email you, you could put it in the show notes. Oh, you could put it in the host information. That's what you could do. So I did a YouTube video recently on adding your host information on Buzzsprout. And that's another place that you could put. If you have questions, you want to contact me, then you could tell them, oh, go to my Buzzsprout website, go down to the host information, and you'll be able to see my email address. Or you could just say it on your podcast. But yeah, I hope that that's helpful. Let me see. Tanya D. My number one goal is to get better branding and be more consistent with promo content. This is a really good goal, and I think it's one that we could all get better at. Like even me, I feel like I publish and post and promote things like all the time, but I always feel like I can get better at honing in on what is most effective or what gets the most engagement. I said this the other day. I'm trying to remember where I said it, but I was talking about the relationship with your podcast marketing is the same as any other relationship. Like you have to nurture it. You have to constantly experiment and see what works, what doesn't work, and keep things fresh, like keep things spicy. That way you continue to enjoy it. Because if you fall in this rhythm of like, this is the only way that I promote my podcast, and then like it's just so routine that you're just like, you wake up one day and you're like, I don't like my podcast anymore. I don't like doing it. That's an issue. And so I think that, yeah, podcast branding is a fantastic one to have and promoting your content. Okay, it's on your list also. Shout out to Melanie, always coming in with the good stuff. 2021 weekly live streams grow the channel. Yes, you did. You did a fantastic job with that, Mel. Step out of my comfort zone to invite 3 guests that in my mind are too big to come onto my podcast. Okay, Jackie. I'm so glad that you brought this up because you're not the only one that feels this way. There are big podcasts that I am going to be pitching myself to later this year. And I'm a little nervous about it. I'll go ahead and call it what it is. And it's not so much that they're too big for me to like present myself. I think that I have told myself, well, I'm too small. This is what I like what is it? The limiting belief, the thing that I shouldn't tell myself is like, oh, well, you're not big enough. You're not this and that. But what's funny is I am. I have the knowledge. I have the authority. I have the power behind what I'm going to pitch them to back up the reason why I'm qualified. And that really just takes a little bit of that confidence that you can only find within yourself to say, you know what? If they say no, it's not the end of the world. I'll try again, because next time I'll come back and I'll have more followers that they want to see, or more content, or more engagement, or more of my episodes getting in the top of the charts, like whatever it is. Even if someone says no to you right now, don't let that crush you. Don't let it crush you. I've gotten some thick skin over the last few years, and people rejecting me, people telling me no, people saying you're not big enough, or why would we have you? And I think that it's just after all those no's like piled on top of each other, it doesn't make it as hard when someone says no, because all I hear is not yet. Not no, but not yet. So just keep trying, put yourself out there, and put together a really awesome pitch that they can't say no to. That's another really cool thing. So we're rooting for you, Jackie. You got this. You got this. Number 1 for Monique, get t-shirts finished. I want to know where you're designing your t-shirts through, because that sounds fun. And people ask me this all the time, and I'm always like, I don't have any recommendations. Have more guests on for interviews. This is so fantastic. So Monique, and anybody else that's in our Facebook group, if you're not in our Facebook group, come join us. Would it be helpful if we did some kind of like guest exchange post? I haven't really done those very often, but I was thinking, like, hey, if this is your specialty, post your show below, or maybe something that's like, if you're looking for guests on this type of podcast, let me know if that would be helpful. I don't know how much engagement we would get on that in the group, but and for anybody else is in the group, if that sounds like a good idea to you, let me know. If you want to join us in the group, come on. We're on Facebook. Look up the Profit Podcast. That's where you can find us. So this is awesome. You'll have to share in the group, Monique, whenever you get your shirts done. We want to see what they look like. Anthony says, my simple goal this year is to launch my podcast. Decided to get a co-host. Awesome, awesome. Anthony, remind me, what is your podcast about? What is your podcast about? We want to know. And how did you find your co-host? People always ask me, how do I find a co-host? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a co-host. Good luck. And I have lots of content that I've interviewed other people and getting co-host. But yeah, you'll have to share with us your experience. Oh, hey, Jacqueline. Melanie's chatting with you. Okay, Teresa has lots of goals. Here we go. Number 1, release an episode each week. Guesting on at least 3 other shows. Try out dynamic content. Have an organized filing system so I can easily reference previously recorded episodes. Transcribe all of my episodes. So important for the deaf and hard of hearing community, my people. Yes, yes, yes. These are all awesome, awesome goals for this year, and I think totally doable. So, for releasing an episode each week, don't put too much pressure on yourself for everything to be perfect. If you start releasing and then you're just like, gosh, these feel really long, just pay attention to the friction that you feel. Are you like Melanie and you feel friction in the show notes and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Then you know what? It's okay. Take a deep breath. Maybe the friction that you feel is in transcriptions. You're like, I really just don't want to do transcriptions. That's something else that you can hire a VA to do for you. I use otter.ai and I do all the transcriptions that way. And then I add those into Buzzsprout. But yeah, these are all great. And then for dynamic content, I have so many ideas for ways that you can use dynamic content. It's really easy once you understand how it works. So make sure you check out the YouTube videos and everything that we have on that. Okay, I'm going to pull up a few more of these and then we are going to talk about the big announcement today. Okay, watching Melanie's videos to figure out live streams. Yes, like she's just, I don't even know anybody else to recommend because Melanie is the girl. She is the person to go watch for all things live stream. Go watch what she does. Like go subscribe to her YouTube channel. If y'all haven't already, here she is. She's already talking about the fancy pip layout. If you don't know what that is, that's me sharing my screen like this. I didn't know what that meant until she told me about it, but it's like, this is the other view. Hang on, there we go. This is the view that had StreamYard had previously, and then now this is the picture-in-picture. She said that to me one day. She was like, "Oh, why don't you use the pip view?" And I'm like, "I don't know what your fancy language is. What are you even talking about?" And she's like, "It's picture-in-picture. It's not that fancy." I'm like, "Oh well, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what you're talking about, but here we are. You know, you learn something new every single day." All right, so we are going to get to a few more of y'all's goals here in a second, but before we do, I have to tell y'all what the big announcement is, what I've been talking about, and all the things. If you have been around here, you've heard everything on Instagram that I was talking about. I did a little reel earlier. You can go watch after this on Instagram where I was talking about don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. It's really good. It was fun. I had a lot of fun making it. But I have a brand new free training that is starting next week. Free training. And it is for those of you that have been podcasting for a while and you're like, I know my podcast doesn't suck. I know it. I know my content is good. I know that what I'm creating is worth somebody getting out their phone and listening to. So why aren't people here? Why are there not more people showing up to my content? Why do more people not share my stuff on Instagram? Why am I just struggling with my podcast? It is not growing. If you're like, that's me. That sounds exactly like what I need. I want you to come join us in this free training. So it is called The 4 Reasons Your Podcast Isn't Growing and What to Do About It. Actually, hang on. I'm going to do something I haven't done before. This is, again, through Melanie, and I'm going to blame her if this just doesn't work out. Oh, see, I'm going to have to move over here because I got to get my microphone closer because I got to move over here. Hang on. Let's do this. Oh, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Here we go. I'm trying to get closer to my mic, but then the picture, I need to like reverse it on the other side. But here it is. This is the training that I have been teasing and talking about because I really wanted to speak to those of you that have been podcasting. Like you are, like everybody said here, if you're like Teresa, if you're like Monique, if you're like Jacqueline, who like you're putting out content, but you're like, man, I don't know, like why is this not working as well as I thought it would? Or why, like, am I doing something wrong? Am I not looking at the right information? Am I not looking at the right stats? This is the training that you need to come to. We're going to have 3 different times starting next week. We're going to have one on January 20th, which is 1 week from today. Sorry, January 18th is the first one. 1 week from today. Then we're going to have January 20th, which is next Thursday. And then we're going to have one more on January 24th because I wanted to have a few different options for everybody to come join us. So go to crystalprofit.com/training to register. You're going to see like this drop-down menu. Not drop-down menu, but you'll see a button at the top. You can register. Hang on. What am I doing? This is the whole reason why I shared my screen earlier, because I'm actually going to show you what happens when you go to, here we are, there you go, 4 reasons your podcast isn't growing and what to do about it. So when you go to this screen, let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, here, this is the key right here. If you've ever said, my content doesn't suck, what is going on, right? So why is my podcast not getting as many downloads as any other podcast? This is the training that you need to go to. So here's what you can expect. If you've never been to one of my free trainings, then this is going to be a treat, which y'all are technically here right now, but these types of trainings are next level. Like it's definitely a lot more than just my weekly live streams, because I actually create a presentation and I'm actually teaching, where I think a lot of what we do here is like, hey, I have a question about this. Like, can you help me? This is going to be a training that is very in depth on the 4 reasons why I believe podcasters have trouble growing their shows and what you can actually do about it. So it's not just, oh, this is all the fluffy things that you can do, or I'm not going to tell you this is the goals that you should set for your podcast. You're going to have to decide that on your own. But what I can do is help you look at the pieces of your podcast and understand why it's not growing, what you can actually do about it. So if you grabbed our freebie last week, which was all about 7 steps to build a better podcast brand, then you're familiar with some of the things that we already like concentrate on and the things that are important to having a great podcast brand. Well, we're just going to go deeper on it. So some of the podcast coaching, like I said, we're going to spend 60 minutes together. We're going to talk about just some of the strategies that I use in my own podcast and what you can start implementing today. Like as soon as the training is over, you'll be able to start using some of them. We're going to have some actionable steps. It's not a training. You're going to walk away empty-handed and you're going to get your questions answered. I am, I think I put it up here just because I thought it was really funny. Followed by the best Q&A in the world. Humble brag. I do. I have the best Q&As in the world. If you're here, you already know this, but I love doing these types of trainings. So when you scroll down, you'll see there's one January 18th, 2 p.m. Central, January 20th, 2 p.m. Central, and Monday the 24th at 10 a.m. Central. So 3 different times that you can go register. But yeah, go to crystalprofit.com/training. And that is where you're going to find all of this information. So here, let's just put this little overlay up right here. This one is too much. Like I made it, it's too big. I needed it to be transparent or something. Like, oh, hang on. There we go. My camera's always off. This one is too much. I tried something new. Again, you gotta keep trying new things. This was too much. I like this one right here. If I can point to it, the smaller one is much better. So we're going to take the other one off. So I hope that you register. Again, it is 4 reasons your podcast brand isn't growing and what to do about it. There we go. So what other questions do y'all have? I would love to know. Yeah, I love that goal. Yes, this is a really good one. I think that you were talking about Monique's watching Melanie's videos to figure out what she's doing. Yeah, I love the analogy you just gave me. My new episode this week is on this very thing, but in relationships. Yes, for sure. Like, I feel like any kind of relationship, whether it's the relationship with your podcast, the relationship with your spouse, your significant other, like it's always evolving and it's always going to change. And I think that when people first launch their podcast and they think that it's just going to be on this set path and on this one trajectory and it's going to stay the same forever and ever, they get complacent and then they get frustrated because things aren't working out as well as they thought it would. So yeah, I think that when it comes to podcasting, you have to keep things fresh and keep trying new things, just like I did today with my overlay. It didn't work out, but now I know I need to make it a little bit smaller, like condense things, push them to the side a little bit more, and it will look a lot better. But here we go. Jackie, I don't know what this is for, but I love these emojis here. I don't know what that's for. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Crystal. Great advice. And Melanie, you're an inspiration to go live. I want to do live stream. That excites me to engage with a live audience. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If y'all like what I'm doing here, like with the comments and with the ticker at the bottom and all those things, go follow Melanie. She will be so look, press in. So is great for a demand. Oh, press and sew. I thought you were trying to tell me like a hotkey, Melanie, to do something because there's hotkeys on StreamYard to like change the view. I'm like, what is she talking about? Press and sew is great for on-demand merch. So she's talking to those of y'all that want to have inventory for your podcast or you want to have t-shirts, mugs, anything like that. So that's really, really good to know. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so awesome. Okay. Oh my word, I need a filing system too. I think I'm going to remember, and I never do. Okay, you want to know my little secrets for filing systems of files? Okay. First, if you are, and I can't remember, Jackie and Teresa, are y'all both in profit podcasting? Because if you are, someone specifically asked this question in our Facebook group earlier this week. They're like, you said something about an organization, like how you do yours. Where's that video? It's in the tech library, and it's all about how to save your audio files. It's something related to that. So if you're in profit podcasting, I have a video exactly on how I do this. But another secret that I have is I have Google Drive. So I keep majority of everything that I save in Google Drive, and that allows me to type in the search bar. How did I name this? So I will name it very specifically a certain way. And then I'm like, oh, okay, then I can go back and find it. So having like a really good filing system, like for me, for my podcast episodes, when I create the file, I just use the letters EP for episode, and then I'll do the episode number. I don't title it. I don't do anything like that, because that can get, like, visually, it's a lot to look at when you open up a file folder and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like in the sea of all these things, I don't know what it is. But I'll just title it the episode number or EP and then that number, and then I'll know how to find it a lot easier that way. So yeah, filing systems can definitely help. Yes, pay attention to the friction you feel, for sure. Like, don't ignore when you sit down to create a Canva graphic or something, or a soundbite or your show notes. Like, acknowledge that. If you're just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst part of my podcast, or you sit down to do it, but then you pick up your phone and you're like, oh crap, I was on Instagram for 20 minutes and I should have been doing something else. Well, you're just procrastinating. You don't want to do whatever it is that thing is. Acknowledge it and like say, hey, we need to work on this. Maybe that needs to be one of the goals for 2022, is to not get sidetracked with all the procrastination stuff. But yes, pay attention to the friction that you feel in your processes. You'll have to try to cropped solo layout. Oh, see, now what is she talking about, guys? She's talking about something else fancy. The cropped solo layout. What is that one? The spotlight. She's trying to get me to do things on the fly. This is the screen layout. Here's this. And then I'm gone. I don't know. Y'all, just pay attention like she's not here for a second. I'm just going to say, Melanie stresses me out sometimes with how fancy she gets. And then I have to remind her, I'm not as fancy as you are, Mel, I'm not as fancy as you. Okay. I couldn't tell you this on a Vox. I have to tell you face to face, face to camera. I'm not as fancy as you. So I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing a mental health podcast about abuse. Should I make it available to many platforms or concentrate on one? So far, I use Anchor. Okay, this is a really good question. I am a fan of getting your show in front of as many people as possible. And whenever it comes to like mental health stuff, especially if you know that could serve a lot of people, I think that you're limiting yourself by just being on Anchor. And the reason why I can say that is because my show, I get downloads. I want to say 85 to 90% of my listeners are on Apple Podcast. This isn't the same for everybody. So hang on. I don't want everybody thinking like, oh my gosh, I got to be on, just on Apple. That's not true. But I think that whenever you're just on one platform, it does limit you to the amount of people that you can reach. So I'm a big fan of getting in front of as many people as possible, like giving them the option to listen to your show. So being on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and all the other catcher podcast apps. Now, I don't know if Anchor feeds into those. Like, for example, what I'm talking about is I listen to Good Pods. So Good Pods is my podcast player that I use. I don't use Apple Podcasts. I don't use Spotify. I use Good Pods 99% of the time. And they pull in their directory from Apple Podcast. So if your show wasn't on Apple Podcast, it wouldn't feed into that, Good Pods, or the other podcast player catchers that are out there. So something to think about. You can just stay on Anchor if you want to, but I recommend getting a podcast host that allows you to put your show, excuse me, on all the different podcast players. So yeah, I'm so excited about you doing this training. Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun, Monique. I hope that you can come to one of the ones that we're doing. I know I did one at this time on a Monday because I can see there's several people here. So I thought, well, maybe that would be a good time to do it. But yes. Okay. My podcast, Anthony says, my podcast is about music and trivia surrounding it. Oh, that's really interesting. So I'd be curious to know, like, is this music from a certain time or is this music from all over the place, like different countries? I'm curious to know what else that is about, Anthony. Great podcast topic, though. So people can ask you questions if they show up live too, right? Yeah. So the way that this presentation is structured is, excuse me, like I said, if you've never been to one of my live trainings, what I do is I will show up. We will talk about the 4 reasons your podcast isn't growing, right? If you're having issues, if you're not seeing any of that growth, like up and to the right, if you're just seeing this, usually that means you've hit a point in your podcast where, hey, you may be reaching a lot of people, right? And you're happy with the number of people that you're reaching, but you're also like, why isn't it going more up? Why are my numbers not starting to grow? And I've been podcasting for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and you've kind of hit this plateau where you want to see more of that steady growth. If that is you should come to our training because I will teach for roughly 45 minutes and then we'll have a more in-depth Q&A session that's not on Facebook. Like all of this is on Zoom. So you don't have as many of the distractions that you may have on social media or on YouTube. Like we're going to be in a Zoom room. It's always hard to say. I'm like, can you pull this off? I did it. Pat on the back. Okay. We're going to be in a Zoom room where I'm going to be, just doing the presentation and then having the opportunity for you to ask questions and all the things. Yes. Tanya D is coming. I will definitely be signing up. Yes, 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 yes. This is so awesome. Yay. Seat saved. Thanks for offering different dates and times. Yeah. I really wanted to try a few different dates. I think next time we'll probably have even more. But this is a training that hopefully if it goes really well, then we'll be able to have this training or something similar like it again. This is actually one of my goals on the back end of my business is to offer more of these free trainings at least once a quarter. That's really what I'd like to do because I know how impactful they are to the community, but it also creates another environment like what we have here, right? It's like what we have here, like on steroids because what we have is like, pretty casual. You're probably, Melanie was cooking. Melanie, you never told us what you were cooking, by the way. You got to share in the comments what you were making for lunch. But Melanie's like, I'm cooking and I'm listening to you. And then maybe Stacia is doing something else in the background because she's like, I'm working on another project. And Teresa could be doing something else. So I wanted to have some highly focused, concentrated time, and I wanted to give you enough leeway that you can put it on your calendar now. Like as soon as you register, it will give you the option to add the date and time to your calendar. Do that immediately. That way you don't put something else in and you're like, oh, Crystal, I really wanted to come because these are the 3 times that we're going to have them. And I don't know that there's going to be a replay for a long time. There probably will be one every time I do one, but they're not going to be available forever. So yeah, so happy to see y'all. Okay, I love in music and trivia. Look, you got a listener. Anthony, you got a listener. You got to tell us what your podcast is about. Yes, in Profit Podcasting. Okay, so go to the tech library in Profit Podcasting when you're logged in. Go up to the right, tech library, and then look for, it's one about audio files, organization and audio files. You'll be able to find it. And now I'm like, hang on, I should probably just go in and show you where it is. That way we know. So if anybody is listening, you're like, what is Profit Podcasting? What are you talking about? This is my digital course that is all about starting and launching and marketing a podcast. Now, let me see. Hang on one second. Tech library. Oh. See, I have to sing at one point. At some point, we always got to sing. I don't know why. Oh, yeah. So it's organizing your podcast audio files. Let me go here. And I'm going to show you what it is. Okay. Hang on. 1 second. Gotta share my screen again because I got out of it, but now we're here. Just give me a second. There we go. So if you're in the course, it's this one right here. So you're in the tech library, right? Go down to organizing your audio files, and it's right there. That's how you're gonna find how I set everything up. You can click on that, and then it'll open the video, and you'll be able to see it. So there we go. Question answered. Who's got another one? I'm feeling feisty today, y'all. It's Tuesday. We had a rough start to this live for those of y'all that were here the whole time. Yeah, but here we are. We're good now. We're good. Awesome. Thank you all. Check it out. Yeah, go check it out. Go watch that video. Google Drive is a lifesaver, Tanya, because I have found a way to name things where I'm like, okay, I won't forget this. Or I'll get close enough to guess it. So if I know like the episode number, I'm like, okay, at least I got a starting point and I'll look there. And then I'm like, wait, this was my guest name. I can look here. Or this was like something related to what I was doing, or I can sort by like what, yes, Google Drive is a freaking lifesaver. Totally agree. Oh, click camera settings, the bottom of your studio. Okay, y'all, she's trying to tell me to do stuff right now. Okay. Click layouts. You'll see the cropped option. Click layouts. Oh, I can't see because my camera's in the way. Hang on. Okay, crop solo layout. Oh, we're so fancy. But now what if I don't want that anymore? Do I have to go back in and turn it off? That's pretty cool though. I like it. Now I feel like I'm like in the studio now. In the studio. But I don't want it right now because it's a little confusing. So I'm going to turn it back off. She says, come on, you're fancy. Not really, y'all. She's a liar. I'm not that fancy. I know enough just to be dangerous. Obviously, that's what I'm doing here today is just, it's being dangerous. I'm playing with fire. I'm testing things out that I probably shouldn't be doing. And yeah, I need to stop. Okay. So she's meal prepping, lots of sauteed veggies, chicken, and rice. I actually have some wild rice. You just said that? I have some wild rice from the other day that I didn't eat. That's what I'm going to have for lunch because my stomach, it's to that point, it's about to start growling. It's almost 11 o'clock here. 11:30 is usually my lunchtime. So I know. Yeah, I'm on a schedule for someone that gets up at 5. Like I'm ready to have dinner at 5:30 every single day. But I have 3 kids and when I travel, it's very comical because people are like, we're going to dinner at 7. I'm like, you mean 5:30, please? 6 at the latest. That's how I roll. Monique is registered. So happy to see you. Oh, y'all, it's going to be so much fun. Blocked it off on my Google Calendar. Teresa's ready to go. This is so awesome. Yeah. More room for comments and banners. Well, I have to go in and change the background. Like I need some contrast help in the back because it all just blended together, Mel, whenever I changed the layout. So I told Melanie, again, we're going to have a conversation like she can't hear me. We're just going to hope she's in the kitchen doing something. I told her I need her to come in and fix the back end of my StreamYard because it's a hot mess. It is a hot mess. I went through and deleted like 15 different things earlier today and it's still a mess. It really is because I start doing things and then I'm like, oh, I can delete those or I don't need them anymore. And I just forget to do it. So there you go. If your digital life is a mess, just like me, come hang out. I'll show you how to at least make it manageable and organize it to where you're not pulling your hair out because my podcast files, they're legit. They're not all messy and crazy. And she says, oh, okay. Got to go rehearsal for the summit. Awesome, Mel. We're cheering you on. Awesome. Okay, y'all, this has been so much fun today. Make sure that you go register for the 4 reasons your podcast isn't growing and what to do about it. We will see you. I'm going to do a live again next week. Same time, same place, 10 a.m. Central for our regular live session. And then that afternoon at 2 p.m. Central is when we will have our first live training together. And I'm so excited. So y'all have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.